So next up is Justin Nicols of Sift Healthcare. The Milwaukee-based company provides its healthcare customers with advanced analytics and data science to improve the payments process. Since its founding in 2017, Sift has grown to 26 employees and raised nearly $13 million in funding from investors. Please welcome Justin Nicols.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. You're going to hear some of the same things you've heard from other entrepreneurs. The first, really, I wouldn't be here today without our team. I think any great team that continues to solve and scale a very complex issue needs to do a good job in hiring people smarter than them, more creative than them, and fortunately we've been able to do that now. I think our team's nearly up to 32 since we wrote that intro. So very fortunate to be able to hire people smarter than us. Looking back when we started in 2017, I think so many of us hear kind of revisionist history stories, and Wayne did a good job of kind of sharing his background that it wasn't an overnight success. We closed our seed round, which I'll touch on a little bit about how difficult funding can be, in 2017. But I think I started kind of poking around this issue probably around 2015. And where I started is really a bit of advice about just staying generally curious and making sure you're going after interesting markets that hopefully warrant a big enough outcome where you're going to get material return and make your time worthwhile. And where I first started was actually mobile payments. So I remained curious about kind of small businesses, back office receivables. So I put a decent amount of money at the time, nearly 7 years ago, into an MVP to really automate back office receivables, text messages, automated calls, envision selling $30 a month subscriptions to small businesses, integrating to QuickBooks, and then very quickly realized selling $30 a month subscriptions is a very expensive proposition, and your CAC, or cost to acquire the customer, was going to be really, really high. And I didn't go to Stanford, and I wasn't going to be able to raise a $10 million seed round to be able to market all over the place and integrate to all these accounting platforms. And so I kind of took a step back and said, okay, I have to go vertical specific, industry specific, solve one problem. And the criteria was high cost to collect, high bad debt write-off, non-recurring payment. And you'll really find two things. You'll find utilities and you'll find healthcare payments. And then in a parallel path, so I said, okay, I'm going to go after healthcare payments. There were companies that raised enormous amounts of money focused on mobile payments, patient responsibility. You're talking to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. So again, I took a step back and I said, okay, what's the real problem here? And I continued to be blown away because what we do is really we're building a data and analytics platform focused on healthcare payments. Certainly not the sexiest thing you could be attacking in healthcare, but when you look at the costs associated with healthcare and how it continues to rise, it's about 20% of our total healthcare costs is baked in this administrative burden. So I continue to be fascinated that 20% of your costs in healthcare is just kind of fighting with insurance companies and trying to collect money from patients, right? And when you think about that, it's like it has nothing to do with the actual value proposition of better care, right? Like it doesn't make you sicker or healthier how effectively your insurance company or you pay your bill. It really is a drain on society. When you look at GDP numbers, then healthcare is about 17% of GDP, continues to rise quicker than inflation, and 20% of 17, you can do the math, right? It's 3 to 4% of GDP is this administrative burden. It really, unfortunately for the country, fortunately for Sift, is just kind of a drain on the economy, right? And so we continue to remain curious about the problem. And so when you look at, we raised our seed round, it took me 10 months to probably raise our first seed round from the Winnebago Seed Fund. And that was a struggle in of itself, clearly. We had an initial lead funder that wrote a term sheet that we ended up executing on. That company ran into financial problems of their own and challenges, and so again, we had to take a step back. And so really, you look at, we closed the seed round in 2017. I would say I started exploring the issue in 2015 and just had to stay very curious and continue to kind of move forward towards a bigger issue and a bigger problem. We've almost been acquired 3 times. We've almost ran out of cash 3 times, right? I mean, so these things, you get the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. But I certainly think, building the right team, staying hungry, having high conviction is really, really important. And making sure that you can have all those things and attack the wrong market. It's not big enough. It's not going to get the biggest reward, or it's not where kind of the puck is moving, and you can waste your time, right? So I think you need to make sure that you can have all those right things in terms of energy and focus and curiosity, but make sure you're honing it on the right market too, because some markets simply just don't warrant that, unfortunately, from a capitalist return perspective. looking back, kind of like the positive things I've seen since I've started that kind of keep me excited about the region and the state. Again, looking past 5, 6, 7 years later, excuse me, as a native Milwaukeean, very proud to be able to build a company here. We've been great to find hires that, if you were to ask me 6 or 7 years ago, like, are they here? They are here. So we've been able to build a great team and great careers here. Clearly, we hire nationally, but our focus is trying to grow teams here within Milwaukee, and then we kind of start expanding out into Wisconsin beyond there. So it's really exciting. It's great to see what local universities are doing, the investment they're doing in data science programs, computer science, and what that's going to do for our ecosystem. And then lastly, I do have to thank the Badger Fund of Funds. I think they've done a great job. David Trotter of the Winnebago Seed Fund, Rock River Capital, and Chris Ekstrom and Andy Walker. Without their support, particularly David Trotter's support early on, we definitely would not be here today. I mean, we did a seed round of like $600,000, which is laughable on national standards, but that's really what gave us our opportunity. And so, while Wisconsin-based VCs won't always garner the most press, and they certainly won't give you the highest valuations, the Badger Fund of Funds continues to do a really good job of helping start and grow technology-based companies here in Wisconsin. And now I truly feel like these kind of first generation of truly venture-backed companies like ours in Wisconsin, the onus is on us to start creating that shareholder return, create those jobs and careers, and really make Wisconsin one of the more attractive places to start and grow business. Thank you all very much. Have a great holiday season.